Who else is here? Charlotte Weaver and her husband. That's all we know. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. A lovely day this is. And such a wonderful gathering for such a program and a commemoration that I think we'll all look back on with great fondness and with great memory. And we welcome, of course, our students as well. And thank you very much for joining us. I think you're going to enjoy hearing from all of our speakers today and finding out why you are here today. So, welcome. This is the 73rd anniversary of the first day of classes that were held at Anna Maria College. 73 years ago today, 24 students. 24 students arrived intending, of course, to get a degree from Anna Maria College, and of course were quite successful. I'm sure all of them graduated with great success and went on to be most prominent in our community. As you can see, we've evolved quite a bit in those 73 years. We are currently at close to 950 students. And as indicated by many of the members of the Sisters of St. Anne who joined us here today, they're very active, and it was a wonderful day to come onto the campus and see such activity. It's really a lot of fun. So that's a wonderful way to begin what we want to do today. And to, first of all, for me, to say welcome. First of all, welcome to our Sisters of St. Anne. It's a wonderful gathering of so many that could come and join us here today to commemorate Sister Doris in her being named on a program of the general education program. And you're going to hear more about that and why Sister Doris was selected from fellow members of my community today. There's a few people I'd like to thank. I'd like to thank, first and foremost, Barbara Driscoll de Alvarado, Dr. Barbara Driscoll de Alvarado, who about a year and a half ago came to me and said, I have an idea. I have come across a wonderful representation of not only the Sisters of St. Anne, but a woman of quite pronounced academic renown and vision and accomplishment. And she said, I'd love to name what is very important to us in the sense of an education here at Anna Maria College, the general education program, which is the grounding, of course, of everything. And we'll hear more about that from Dr. Holmes. And I said, gee, that's wonderful. It's wonderful, Barbara, and thank you for bringing that. So over the course of time and with the proper channels of agreement and approvals, we come to today. So I thank you, Barbara, for bringing this to our attention and bringing this to such prominence. Secondly, Sister Roland Quintal. Thank you, very sister. Oh, right there. We've had a few meetings to make sure that we did this properly. We really do thank Sister Roland for carrying forth the mission of this institution and, of course, the archives of this, and to make sure that we keep our history alive and prominent and in front of us all the time. Although I do question why, since I became president, there's nothing on the timeline. You know, I'm starting to get a little nervous. I'm going to jump from one president to the other. We'll get on that at some point. Thanks, Ron. Yeah. But no, I thank you for all the work that you did on organizing this. And Frances, where are you? Frances, who is the support and the assistant to Dr. Chris Holmes. Frances took care of all the detailed arrangements of our SVPs and the coordination of the lunch, which will follow. So thank you, Frances, for taking care of that. The evolution of this is will certainly come to fruition as we go forth with our program, but I did not want to go without saying how happy I am that we had such a wonderful turnout, such a great support of this venture that we do. These are the important times at any institution. They're markers. They're markers when you look back and you say, do you remember that moment when we commemorated someone that should never be forgotten, who will highlight what we find very important to this institution and use that as something we carry forth over the years to make sure we don't forget that type of anchor that we had and carry it forth into the future of Anna Maria College, which is right now in a very good position And it's a great honor to be here today to have this ceremony, an appropriate ceremony in the naming of our general education program. So that now being said, I now invite Dr. Chris Holmes, who is our academic vice president, to talk about why this is important that we wanted to name the general education program. Thanks, Chris.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, President Rattel. I appreciate the warm introduction. I'm going to do a little bit of reading. Usually I'll just speak, but I want to make sure that I get all of the information forward to you so that I can portray a little bit about just exactly what is liberal arts and how does that connect with our general education program. So if you're looking at the Association of American Colleges and Universities, AAUP as it's called, they define liberal education as an approach to learning that empowers individuals and prepares them to deal with complexity, diversity, and change. Welcome to our world, right? It provides students with broad knowledge of the wider world, for example, science, culture, society, as well as an in-depth study in a specific area of interest. A liberal education helps students to develop strong and transferable intellectual and practical skills, such as communication, analytical reasoning, problem-solving skills. Also a sense of responsibility, social responsibility, and a demonstrated ability to apply knowledge and skills in real-world settings. You think about that, this is a whole big look across the world when you're looking at universities and what does it mean for liberal education. But think about who we are at Anna Maria College. Wow. We at Anna Maria College believe that an educated person is defined by 3 essential traits: critical thinkers, and intentional and rigorous lifelong learners. They have reasonable minds and confident characters founded on decency and on humility. And they're animated by a sense of social responsibility. When our Sisters of St. Anne founded the college in 1946, they perpetuated the vision and the aim of their own founder, Sister Marie-Anne Boldin, by offering opportunities and advantages of education, in this case higher education, to those whom it was not that easily accessible, specifically for women. The earliest statement of their purpose declares that the college offers a liberal education planned to elevate the heart through love, to enlighten the intellect in truth, and to strengthen the will in good. This declaration sums up the Catholic tradition in education. The college recognizes that intellectual development is inseparable from character development and ethical decision-making, and it seeks to prepare students to be educated persons, citizens of a global community, with the goal of constructing a more just and practical world. The general education program plays a pivotal role in this endeavor. Educated persons are prepared to deal with complexity, diversity, and change because they possess the capacity for rigorous analytical thinking and creative independent inquiry. Educated persons are reflective, and they're conscious of the way they and others define the meaning of the collective human experience, making them more self-aware, attentive, and sympathetic to experiences that may be different from their own. Educated persons have an appreciation for diverse ways of knowing and the ability to examine, evaluate, and integrate knowledge drawn from multiple sources. They possess an awareness of how historical, cultural, economic, and political forces continuously shape and inform the world that they live in. They're able to listen carefully. They're able to communicate their thoughts effectively. And they're able to make clear, precise, and logical arguments in both written and verbal form. Collectively, These attributes create a compassionate and empathetic individual, equipped with powerful problem-solving skills and the ability to create, discover, and analyze knowledge and to apply it in real-world settings with intention. The general education program was initiated in 2012, the one that we have right now, and it provides a developmental 4-year sequence that serves as both the foundation and the framework of the undergraduate education here at Anna Maria College. The general education program is rooted in the liberal arts tradition and emphasizes interdisciplinary approaches to knowledge and skills while integrating the Catholic identity as well as the mission of Anna Maria College throughout the curriculum. The general education curriculum is designed to develop students' intellectual and applied skills and to expand their knowledge and understanding of the contemporary human condition, as well as the physical and natural world in which we live. Furthermore, the general education curriculum is designed to promote intellectual engagement by fostering students' social awareness, their sense of personal responsibility, and by preparing them for the world in which they live. The 3 essential elements we have are the knowledge of human cultures and the physical and natural world through the liberal arts, the intellectual and applied skills, and personal and social responsibility. These are the elements that are defined throughout our program, our general education program, through 21st century literacies and essential statements and questions. We have the opportunity to have a student here today to share her experience about the general education program. We have a senior, her name is Anne Melanson. So I would like to invite Anne to come up and share a little bit about her experience.
Good morning. I would like to welcome Sister Milan, the Sisters of St. Anne, alumni of Anna Maria, faculty, staff, and my fellow students. Today we are here to recognize Sister Doris by naming the general education program after her. And it is an honor to be here today, recognizing the accomplishments of Sister Doris. As you all know, she paved the road for students like me. In 2019, it is not often acknowledged how lucky I and my other female students are to attend college and have the opportunity to learn and grow as students. When Sister Doris was a student pursuing a PhD in philosophy, women did not have the same expectations or opportunities that I and many other peers take for granted. She believed in the importance of a well-rounded education that is taught through the liberal arts. In a recent assignment for my honors senior seminar, we had to explain why we thought the seminar would help us as we graduated and entered the workforce. Yes, it is extremely important to learn the ins and outs of your major, but what is equally important is being a well-versed and experienced student. Well-rounded students leave school and become well-rounded citizens who look beyond the narrow scope of their job and take a hard look at the issues in the world. I know there's been a recent rise of vocation-driven majors, and while those are very necessary, we do need more. So while I'm an English education major, it is equally important that I have taken courses in American government, global history, Spanish, and many others. How can I expect to make a difference in the world if all I was taught can fall into one category? It is written in Anna Maria's mission statement that Anna Maria mission is to educate our students to become individuals who has transformed the world as ethical leaders and community-oriented professionals. This mission, it cannot be accomplished without a diverse education and a plethora of general education courses. So although my time at Anna Maria is drawing to a close, a fact that I'm not ready to face yet, I know that when I walk across the Hanover stage and receive my diploma, I will be receiving more than a piece of paper. I will be prepared to enter the real world and face the issues that are plaguing our communities, our country, and our world. So with the force of other liberal arts students, I am confident that we can take our education and put it to use in making a positive change. It is an honor to be able to speak today and emphasize the importance of general education program, and even more of an honor to be a part of the ceremony naming it after Sister Doris. So thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Well said. It's now my privilege and honor to introduce Dr. Barbara Driscoll d'Alvarado. I have the privilege to be a colleague of Barbara's. She's a full-time tenured faculty member, associate professor of humanities. Barbara's a Latin American historian by training, and she's a member of the first generation of Chicano scholars. She's the chair of our General Education Curriculum Committee, and she, as President Rattel said, inspired the naming of the General Education Curriculum. So I welcome Dr. Barbara Driscoll d'Alvarado.
Thank you for such a gracious introduction. Let me apologize, I'm a little hoarse because I have a cold, but I think you'll be able to understand me, I hope. Okay. Today we're naming Anna Maria's General Education Program for Sister Doris Gagnon, one of the first Sisters of St. Anne to teach here at Anna Maria, and known by many students here as Sister Lorraine Marie. She was selected for this honor since Sister Doris's spiritual and work life, commitment to higher education, and her love for the college reflect the human building blocks that laid the foundation for the college. Now, a few words about Sister Doris. So, Dr. Gagnon was born Doris Gagnon in Rhode Island, joined the Sisters of St. Anne, and chose Sister Lorraine Marie as her professed name. She then earned a bachelor's degree from Anna Maria in 1956, only a few years after the college moved to Paxton from Marlborough. She then taught elementary school. But in 1963, Dr. Gagnon returned to Anna Maria as an assistant professor of philosophy and eventually became chair of philosophy, a position she held until 1988. At that time, philosophy was one of the pillars of an Anna Maria undergraduate education. If you were an undergraduate student at Anna Maria in the early days, you would have taken several philosophy courses. Dr. Gagnon was one of the individuals who guided and informed that part of the curriculum that was so essential to the Anna Maria educational experience. As she undertook her teaching and other responsibilities before and during her tenure at Anna Maria, Sister Doris continued to pursue her education and enrolled in graduate studies in philosophy at the University of Notre Dame in Indiana. She had earned a master's in philosophy in 1961, and 10 years later, in 1971, Dr. Gagnon earned a PhD in philosophy, interspersing short residencies at Notre Dame with her teaching at Anna Maria. We should add that in the early 1970s, only 15% of PhDs in philosophy in the United States were earned by women. Excuse me. Anna Maria was fortunate to have one of the few women PhDs in philosophy in the United States on campus. In order to earn a PhD in philosophy, Dr. Gagnon researched and wrote an original piece of research in the field. Her 234-page dissertation analyzes the contributions of the accomplished American philosopher of art Suzanne K. Langer, who was active in the field from the mid-20th century until her death in 1985 in Connecticut. A short description of her dissertation will show that Dr. Gagnon's commitment to Anna Maria influenced even her dissertation. Langer was born in the 1890s to a German-speaking family in New York who immersed the girl not only in English and history and other academic subjects, but also classic music and art. She excelled particularly in playing the cello. After her undergraduate education at Radcliffe, Langer earned a PhD in philosophy from Harvard in 1926. She taught at several universities until she settled in as a professor of philosophy at Connecticut College. I would like to add that Langer is recognized as one of the first practicing American female philosophers. She is most famous for exploring aesthetics, that field of philosophy that contemplates the purpose of the arts, that is art, music, and other creative expression. In her work, Langer submitted that art, especially music, is a highly articulated form of expression, symbolizing direct or intuitive knowledge of life patterns. That is feeling, motion, and emotion, which ordinary language is unable to convey. While as she explored the subject formally through writing, she credited mastering the cello with the raw material for her theories about aesthetics. Okay, for Langer, the concept of beauty held little attraction. Instead, she believed that art and music were fundamental forms of human activity related to and equal in significance to spoken language, although different in their basic structures. Interestingly, Langer was an active and influential philosopher while Dr. Gagnon was researching her work and developing her thesis. While Langer explored several areas of philosophy over the course of her career, Dr. Gagnon focused on that part of Langer's career in which posits theories about the central role of creativity in human existence. I am sure that both Dr. Gagnon and Dr. Langer would want all of us to ponder the question, why do we as humans need music and art? Why do we need creative expression? Why is it fundamental to being human? Dr. Gagnon's research about Langer's contributions to the philosophy of art and significance of creativity mirrors the mission of liberal arts at Anna Maria as laid out by the Sisters of St. Anne. To quote part of the college's mission, the college prepares a student to adapt to future challenges with creativity and innovation by integrating a liberal arts education with personal development and professional achievement. The sisters incorporated a vision of the liberal arts that integrates life of the mind, life of the spirit, and spirit of creativity, and taps into the academic disciplines of the liberal arts as they were developed in the 19th and 20th centuries. It is an approach that respects the humanity of all. In any event, the academic disciplines that frame our understanding today of the liberal arts grew out of modern Western Europe. That is the humanities, including music and art, the natural sciences, the social sciences, and mathematics. Now, as many of you already know, Anna Maria was founded in the late 1940s after World War II as a Catholic women's liberal art college to serve women as no other institution in central Massachusetts did so at the time. The notion of liberal arts was pivotal in the foundation of the school and is much more important than it might first appear. Before World War II, the bulk of institutions of higher learning in the United States that identified as liberal arts colleges were mostly private institutions geared toward elite men. It was not until the rapid expansion of higher education in the United States after World War II, the liberal arts institutions more broadly embraced women and individuals outside of the elite. Through Anna Maria College, the Sisters of St. Anne expanded their institutional commitment to spread opportunities for working class women through immersion in the liberal arts. Indeed, the college opened with small classes of women who majored in English and history, other academic subjects. But by the 1970s, however, Anna Maria embraced both women and men and had begun to explore what the liberal arts might look like beyond the original majors. Today, the liberal arts thrive at Anna Maria through its liberal arts program and is intended and designed to introduce all Anna Maria undergraduates to the liberal arts. While students have many options at many points in their undergraduate career, the required courses of English, philosophy, theology, and Catholic intellectual tradition form the foundation of the general education requirements. Now, a word about liberal. The word liberal in liberal arts demonstrates one of the larger purposes of an undergraduate education at Anna Maria. It is not used in a political sense in juxtaposition to conservative, but the word is derived from the Latin word to liberate. In other words, a cluster of liberal arts disciplines seeks to liberate or free our minds to rethink ourselves and others, the world around us, and how we live and treat each other. An education grounded in the liberal arts primes all of us to learn from the past and present, to engage with larger questions that exercise introduces, and to cherish our collective humanity. Okay. Well, as Dr. Holmes indicated, Anna Maria has grown since those early years. Today, many Anna Maria students will graduate with majors that are externally credited and recognized, such as nursing, social work, and music therapy. The heart of these programs is to train students in specific skills and knowledge that are immediately applicable to employment in the community. The college takes pride in these majors. But we also recognize that these endeavors will evolve over time, that the communities they serve will also change, and that our alumni will be faced with new and unpredictable challenges. The task that faces us as educators is not only to prepare undergraduate students to take their places in the communities of today, but to nurture them to be effective and compassionate citizens and professionals on tomorrow. While many have offered predictions about the future of work, we don't know what's going to work. We don't know what will happen. Liberal arts opens many paths of learning and self-analysis that will serve our students in good stead and support their path forward. A foundation in the liberal arts is one of empowerment and engagement. Indeed, Dr. Gagnon's life, work, and dedication of the mission exemplifies what all of this means. Now, it is my deep honor and privilege to introduce the next speaker. I am going to introduce Sister Roland Gagnon. It is who is today Anna Maria's Dean of Mission Integration. Sister Roland earned a bachelor's in arts and education at Anna Maria, and then a master's in guidance and counseling from Boston College. She has taught in a variety of settings, and I can tell you from being here on campus that she is an inspiration for all of us. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Barbara, for your kind words. An autobiographical book published in 1957 entitled A Seal Upon My Heart documented autobiographies of 20 sisters from across the country, from numerous religious communities, to write about their experience in responding to God's call to religious life. Sister Doris Gagnon, for whom we have gathered in celebration of her life on this happy occasion, was asked by her provincial superior at the time to submit and share her experience. Much to her surprise, hers was one of the 20 submissions selected and published. At that time, she was in her early 20s, teaching high school English at St. Anne Academy in Marlborough, Massachusetts. In compliance with the provincial's request, she wrote in the idiom of the day about her compelling experience as a high school senior drawn to religious life. She begins by describing coming home one evening, snowflakes falling as she trudged up the path, she writes. They were home alone. She had hoped that her parents would be alone, so that she could tell them something important. Upon greeting her parents, she said to them that she had something important to say. "What is it?" her dad said. And she replied, "Well, you see, Mom and Dad," as she tried to sound businesslike and calm, "in 5 months, I'll be graduated from high school, and I must think of my future. I know that you're willing to sacrifice much to send me to college, and I appreciate it, but I'd like something better than that. And she pauses, I want to be a nun." It was as if a bombshell had struck the room. The silence which followed was heavy with unspoken words. For a minute, which lasted a seeming eternity, the silence was unbroken. And they would have said to their eldest daughter, "Why not wait a few years?" And she writes, farther on, "Truly, I wish to be a nun, to be his alone, just as I am." Her persistent prayers that her parents would change their mind prevailed. And so it was on graduation day in June 1947, and I quote, "He called me just as I am. He had pursued my wavering soul." Sister Doris lived by faith and continues even to do so today. As a professor, her commitment to a faith-based education was evident. She was truly committed to the education of the whole person, mind, spirit, and soul. She embraced the Anna Maria mission of the college and of the Sisters of St. Anne. And after years of teaching and having earned degrees in philosophy at the master's and doctoral levels from the University of Notre Dame, Sister Doris returned to Anna Maria College, where she was appointed assistant professor of philosophy, then associate professor, and soon after also served as chair of philosophy until 1988. Model that she was, we are here today to celebrate and honor Sister Doris Gagnon for her constant faith, her generosity of spirit, her love of teaching, and her sincere interest in helping her students succeed. Her teaching profession was interrupted when she was called to leadership as the Provincial Superior of St. Marie Province. As stated in her honorary degree citation, awarded in 2009 at the college's commencement, and I quote, "As a committed Sister of St. Anne, Sister Doris strived throughout her life to follow in the footsteps of Blessed Marianne Blondin, whose legacy of love of God and whose dream of an education for all remains a beacon for all those who choose to follow." In planning this event, the committee suggested that alums whom she had taught be invited to share remembrances of her. And with the help of the alumni office, students who had had Sister Doris in class were asked to send their recollections. And since time is limited, I'll share a few. A young man wrote that he remembers Sister Doris Gagnon, then Sister Lorraine Marie, with her warm smile and gentle style. She approached and challenged each and every one of us to be excited about philosophy. She was never judgmental in class discussions and always had a way to embrace a student's input, which was highly encouraged. When not in class, there was always a warm greeting in each encounter, always with that lovely smile. She would congratulate each of her students for their participation in activities from sports to SGA and more. He goes on to say that his education has served him well and is truly grateful for the knowledge he obtained and for all the opportunities he experienced at Anna Maria. Those are words of Keith Chacon, Bachelor of Music Education, class of 1984. And now, I would like to invite Associate Professor Alice Lambert to come and share her experience as a non-traditional college student.
Sister Alon and Francis contacted me a few weeks ago, and they said, "Can you share some memories as a student of Sister Lorraine?" And I said, "Sure." You know, I got on the Word document and I went on and on and on, and because it was fun to be able to speak about her with great candor and great love. And so I said to Sister, "Shall I edit this?" And she said no. So I'm here to tell you, I'm here to tell you my story of Sister Alon. I came to Anna Maria as a non-traditional student, a mother of 5 young children, a CCD coordinator, and a community volunteer. Returning to college after a hiatus was daunting at best. I was terrified. I enrolled as a student in the art department, but soon found myself in required academic and liberal arts courses, one of which was Intro to Philosophy with Sister Lorraine. Having grown up with sisters from kindergarten through high school, I was quite comfortable with having a nun in class and as a professor. Our classes met in second floor Foundress, which had a 6-inch platform from which Sister Lorraine taught. Her diminutive stature took advantage of every single inch of that platform in order to project her voice over the heads of the students, most of whom sat in the back row. I, of course, sat in the front row, and I remember her intensity, the passion with which she approached a subject matter. Papers and assignments were taken seriously, through which she exacted a command of the complexity, the proper vocabulary, and an understanding of the lectures and handouts materials. There were no special favors for older students. All had to comply and learn to think as philosophers, placing a great deal of emphasis on common sense. Intellectual prudence, she would call it sometimes. The margins of blue book papers were filled with the tiniest of writing, all of which hinted on how to do better the next time. Compliments were rare, but when given generously when they were deserved. After graduating from AMC, we became colleagues, and that I was invited to teach in the art department. As part of my tenure, I was charged with going to Lachine, Canada, to choose artwork from the Sisters of St. Anne collection for an exhibit at AMC. The process was complex, particularly with removing artwork that had been in the SSA collections for years. Of course, there was a language barrier from Paxton to Canada, which complicated the issue. I would place calls to Sister Lucille Cote, then curator of the art gallery in Lachine, and I would get, bonjour, Sister St. Anne, and something else that followed. and I would say, Sister Lorraine, please. And so she could serve as my interpreter, and that she did with a wry and knowing smile. We had a few encounters after that time when she came to Paxton for board meetings and other significant events. She always greeted me warmly with a sense of familiarity that comes only from having known and respected each other in a variety of ways. I remember that she broke her ankle simply from stepping down off a chair, she said. So it doesn't surprise me that she's recovering from a broken hip after dancing, most likely with the same sense of joy that she exuded all of these years, and for which we all remember. Congratulations, Sister Lorraine. Thanks for the memories of my early years at AMC.
Thank you, Alice. It is clear that Sister Doris brought her love for philosophy to her teaching, as well as her compassion and respect for all who entered her classroom, from all that has been said. Sister Doris, may your legacy live on through the generations. And now we will proceed with the blessing by Father David Cotter, pastor of St. Columba Parish and chaplain of Anna Maria College.
Let us pray. Loving and gracious God, in whose presence we stand here today, bless us as we gather in memory of that faithful daughter of Blessed Esther Blondin, Mère Marianne, Sister Doris Gagnon. Having been denied access to education herself, Mère Marianne would dedicate herself and her followers to the education of all. This same impulse would draw the Sisters of St. Anne to found this college, where young women and men would be able to access the wisdom of the ages and the best thinking of our own day, so as to be prepared to serve humanity however they are called to do so, just as Blessed Esther herself served her community in whatever way she was asked to. So we ask you, O God, to bless this memorial erected in honor of Sister Doris Gagnon. May all who come here to learn in this college be inspired by her example, by the examples given by all the Sisters of St. Anne, and make the world a better place, more just and accessible for all who desire to seek wisdom. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Well, what a wonderful day. First, I want to thank the speakers. It's a true testimony to the importance of naming of the general education program after Sister Doris. We are taping this. I think the unfortunate thing is that Sister Doris Gagnon could not be with us today. I hope she enjoys what she will be witnessing as this video. I hope the students too, and I'm so happy you're here. I hope you can understand the relevance, first of all, of this day, the importance of a general education program and how it enhances your education. But most importantly, I hope you take with you, and as we all do, the importance of the founding Sisters of St. Anne and the importance that they bring to Anna Maria College, both from the past and going into the future as they continue to support us so well. I can't thank you enough for being here today, representing Sister Doris Gagnon in such great fashion and in such great love. Thank you all very much. We have two options. For those whose schedule doesn't allow it, we can adjourn up to Jacques' conference room for lunch. For those who wish to stay, we have a 12 o'clock Mass. Lunch will continue to be served for those that want to attend Mass and then join us later on for lunch up at St. Jacques. So thank you all again. It was a lovely day to celebrate our 73rd first day of class for Anna Maria College. Thank you all very much.
He's holding out for the whooping pie.
So I said right in the beginning, we should have started with dessert.
How are we doing?
So we don't need these tickets anymore.
And so he just said, bingo. And so I'm sure they do celebrate elsewhere in the exercise, but he immediately said, you know, they're going there.
A little bit.
Is there any more spaces here, or? I can't tell. I think that one. Those two. Because Muriel's at one. Adele's at one. They're the ones that I'm over there, and someone else just raised it for today. Take it for today. I suppose I have to go back.